Chapter 1: The Accusation. I never expected to return to my hometown as a villain. The moment I stepped out of the taxi, the warm afternoon air was cut short by a shout that cracked through the street like thunder. There he is, the man who abandoned my daughter. Her father's voice, deep, furious, trembling, ripped through the quiet neighborhood. Heads turned, curtains twitched. A few neighbors stepped onto their porches, eager for the kind of spectacle small towns lived for. I froze, one hand still gripping my suitcase handle. I hadn't seen him in almost a year. I hadn't seen her in just as long. And God knows I wasn't ready for either of them. Before I could get a word out, her father marched straight up to me. His face flushed and his fingers clenched tight around a rolled-up newspaper as if he might hit me with it. "You walked out on your wife and left her with nothing," he shouted, chest heaving. "You didn't even call." A familiar sting spread across my chest. He wasn't entirely wrong, but he wasn't right either. "I didn't walk out," I said quietly. "She told me she needed space, so I—" "You left," he barked. "A real man doesn't leave." A few gasps came from the people gathering around us. I swallowed the rising frustration. This wasn't the man I remembered. Stern, yes, protective always, but this level of anger felt rehearsed, like he'd been waiting for this moment. "Where is she?" I asked, forcing my voice steady. He stiffened, eyes narrowing. "Don't pretend you care now. I always cared." He stepped closer, lowering his voice just enough for the watching crowd to lean in. "She cried every night. Said you abandoned her. Said you didn't even bother to check in." My stomach twisted. I had checked in. Every day at first, then every week until the replies stopped and the silence became its own answer. But explaining that here, on this sidewalk in front of a dozen strangers, felt pointless. I opened my mouth to try anyway, but another voice cut through the tension. "Dad, stop." Her voice, soft, feminine, but sharp enough to slice through the entire confrontation. I turned. There she stood at the gate, my wife or whatever she was now. Her hair tied back, her makeup flawless, her expression unreadable. In her hand, she held a folder. She walked forward slowly, shoulders straight, posture collected in a way that told me she'd rehearsed this moment too. Her father spun toward her. "Sweetheart, you don't have to protect him. He needs to answer for." "Dad, please." Something in her tone made even him falter. She looked at me then, directly, without blinking. The kind of look that wasn't angry, or sad, or nostalgic, but distant, cold. "You shouldn't have come back," she said. "Maybe," I answered, "but I needed the truth." Her lips twitched, barely a movement. Not a smile, more like she was swallowing one. "Well," she said quietly, lifting the folder between us. "Then let's give you the truth." She opened it. A crisp marriage certificate slid halfway out. I stared at it, at the seal, at the signatures, at the name printed next to hers. Not mine. Her father gasped. The crowd murmured all at once, like a ripple snapping through water. I felt the ground drop out beneath me. What is this?" I whispered. She held the paper out fully now, letting everyone see. "I'm married," she said calmly. "And not to you." My throat tightened, a hot pressure pushing behind my ribs. "But I started. She raised a hand gently, silencing me with humiliating ease. "You left," she said coolly, "and someone else stayed." A few neighbors exchanged looks. Her father turned pale, his anger drowning in confusion. She continued, voice steady, painfully casual. "I filed for divorce months ago. It was finalized. You just never answered the notices." My heart hammered so loudly I could barely hear anything else. Notices? Divorce? Another man? She closed the folder, her gaze slicing clean through me. "You wanted the truth, right?" she asked softly. I nodded, even as every piece of me felt like it was cracking apart. "Good," she whispered, "because this is where it begins." Chapter 2: The Man in Her Shadow. For a long moment I couldn't speak. Her words hung in the air between us, cold and heavy, like winter fog settling over cracked pavement. Divorced. Remarried. without a single word to me. The crowd's whispers blended into a low hum, indistinct, distant, like they were happening underwater. Her father stepped forward, voice trembling. "Sweetheart, what do you mean remarried? You said he." "I said what I needed to say," she cut in gently, not even looking at him. He flinched, confusion overtaking his earlier rage. I almost felt sorry for him. Clearly he'd been fed the same story I had, just with more venom. I forced air into my lungs. "Who is he?" I asked. Her eyes flicked toward me briefly, then away, as if I were the least relevant person standing here. "You'll find out soon enough." A black car rolled up the street just then. Sleek, polished, tinted windows reflecting the neighborhood back at itself. It slowed to a stop in front of the gate. Her lips curved ever so slightly. "Speak of the devil," she murmured. The driver stepped out first, tall, clean-cut, wearing a tailored suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. He rounded the car and opened the back door with a practiced bow. Then he stepped out, the man with his name on her marriage certificate. I knew instantly, not personally, but I knew the type. Broad shoulders, expensive watch. That quiet confidence men only have when they're used to getting exactly what they want. He walked toward her like she was a prize he'd already won. His hand slid around her waist like it belonged there. My chest tightened. He didn't even look at me yet, his eyes focused entirely on her. "Ready to go?" he asked softly. She nodded. He finally glanced in my direction then, his gaze sharp and appraising, as if assessing a piece of furniture he wasn't sure was worth keeping. "So this is the ex," he said. "Not my name, not her former husband, just the ex." I felt the heat rise in my face, but I held his stare. "I deserve answers," I said. He smirked. "You deserve many things, I'm sure, but answers? Those are a privilege." Her father suddenly snapped out of his daze. "You?" he barked at the new husband. "What do you mean she remarried? She never told me any of this." The man raised a casual eyebrow. "Why would she? Her personal life is her business." Her father turned to her, desperate. "Is this true? Did you really?" "Yes, Dad." She didn't soften her tone. She didn't apologize. Her father took a shaky step back, like the truth had struck him harder than any punch. Meanwhile, the new husband tightened his hold around her waist, pulling her slightly closer. "I'm sure you've had a long trip," he said to me. "But she's moved on. I suggest you do the same." He turned, guiding her toward the car. Something inside me snapped. "Wait." The word came out rough, but it stopped them. She turned her head slightly, enough to show a sliver of her profile. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked quietly. "We were married. I deserved at least that much respect." She inhaled, slow and deliberate. Then she said the coldest thing I'd ever heard from her lips. "Because, in the end, you were easier to replace than I expected." There was no anger in her tone, no gloating, just a simple, brutal statement. The kind that sticks, the kind that scars. Her father let out a horrified gasp. The new husband smiled, content, almost triumphant. She turned fully then, sliding into the back seat. The man followed, closing the door behind them. The car rolled away smoothly, leaving behind a stunned father, a silent crowd, and me, standing in the middle of the street with my luggage sitting at my feet like an accusation. Her father sank onto the steps of the house, head in his hands. I don't understand," he whispered. "I didn't either. But I intended to. Because no matter how calm she acted, no matter how perfect her story seemed, there was something wrong, something off. Nobody erases a marriage that easily. Nobody replaces someone without leaving a trail. And I was going to find it." Chapter 3, the first crack in her story. I stood beside her father on the front steps, the echo of the car's engine fading down the street. The whole neighborhood had scattered. Only a few curtains still twitched, nosy eyes peeking through slits. Her father finally looked up at me, his face lined with shock. I didn't raise her to be like this," he murmured. "God help me, I didn't." "I know," I said softly. "She wasn't like this before." He shook his head so violently it almost looked painful. She was a good girl. Loyal. Honest. She loved you. I thought she still did. A bitter laugh escaped me. Apparently she loved him more. He shot me a sharp look. Don't say that. Something's wrong. I could see it, her eyes, her voice. That wasn't my daughter. I frowned. What are you trying to say? He hesitated, swallowing hard. She's hiding something. And that new husband of hers, he didn't look at her like a man in love. He looked at her like a man holding a leash. A chill crawled up my spine. Before I could respond, the front door creaked open from inside. A woman stepped out, Aunt Lila, her father's sister, my ex-wife's favorite aunt, and the last person I expected to see, because she always lived 2 states away. Aunt Lila? I blinked. What are you doing here? She wiped her hands on her skirt. I came last night. She called me, said she wanted me here for support. Support for what? I asked. The older woman hesitated. Her eyes darted between me and her brother. I wasn't sure, she admitted. She sounded nervous, scared even. But when I arrived today, she was different. Like someone flipped a switch. Her father stood up abruptly. Lila, did she tell you she remarried? No, she whispered. She didn't mention a man at all. Her words sent a sharp jolt through me. If she had remarried proudly, why hide him? Aunt Lila exhaled shakily. She did say something strange, though. What? I asked. She met my eyes, and the unease tightened my gut. She asked if you were coming back today. She sounded worried. Not angry, not cold. Worried. She touched her chest. Then she said, I hope he gets here before it's too late. The world tilted. Before what's too late? I whispered. Aunt Lila stepped closer, lowering her voice. That man, her new husband, he arrived this morning. She wasn't expecting him. When she saw his car, she froze. She told me to go inside and not come out. Her father's face paled. Are you saying she didn't invite him? Aunt Lila nodded once. She looked terrified. The puzzle pieces didn't just shift. They snapped together with a violent click. She hadn't remarried willingly. She hadn't abandoned me out of coldness. She hadn't even told her own aunt. So why show up today acting like a stranger? Why insult me? Why say I was easy to replace? I felt my heartbeat in my throat. She's being controlled, I said. Or threatened. Aunt Lila covered her mouth, eyes trembling. I thought the same thing. But she told me to stay quiet or something bad would happen. Her father clenched his fists. We need to call her. Right now. He fumbled for his phone, dialing her number. He pressed it to his ear. 1 ring. 2 rings. 3. A click. Her voice came through the speaker, soft but strained. Dad, don't call me. Please. Her father stepped closer to the phone, gripping it tightly. What is going on? Who is that man? Why didn't you tell me? Dad. She interrupted. Stop. I can't talk. It's dangerous. My lungs froze. Dangerous? Her voice broke on the next word. And please tell him to leave. I don't want him hurt. Her father's breath hitched. Who's threatening you? He demanded. Tell us. Footsteps sounded from her side of the call. Heavy footsteps. Her breathing sharpened, and then the line went dead. Aunt Lila stepped back, trembling. Her father lowered the phone like it weighed 1,000 pounds. What do we do? He whispered. I clenched my fists. The answer came without hesitation. We find out who he is, I said. And why she's scared of him. But how? Aunt Lila asked. I took a deep breath, my mind sharpening. There's one person who knows everything about her life. Her father looked up at me. Who? I stared at the empty street where the car had disappeared. Her best friend, I said. Lena. Her father's shoulders sagged with recognition. She always trusted Lena. Aunt Lila nodded. If anyone knows the truth, she will. I took a step off the porch. Then I'm going to her. Her father reached out, gripping my arm. Bring my daughter back, he pleaded in a trembling voice. Please. I nodded. Not because he asked, but because, For the first time since arriving, I finally understood. My ex-wife didn't betray me. She was warning me. Chapter 4. Lena finally breaks. I drove straight to Lena's apartment, barely noticing the traffic lights or the people crossing the streets. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. When I reached her place, I didn't waste a second. I knocked once, hard, and the door opened almost instantly. She looked shocked to see me. "You?" she breathed. "I knew you'd come." "Then you know why I'm here," I said. Her eyes darted past me, scanning the hallway. "Come inside, quickly." She shut the door behind me, locking it. I didn't even get a chance to take my shoes off before she spoke again. "I'm guessing you already saw him." "I don't even know who he is," I snapped. "That's why I'm here." Lena swallowed, pressing her back against the door as if holding something inside herself. "I told her this would happen," she whispered. "I told her she couldn't hide forever." I stepped closer. "Lena, what's going on?" She told her dad it was dangerous. She told him I could get hurt. Her eyes filled with guilt, and she covered her face with both hands. "She didn't want any of this, okay?" Lena said. "She was trying to protect you." My heartbeat picked up. "Protect me from what?" Lena let out a broken breath. "That man isn't her husband." The room went silent. My whole body froze. My thoughts scattered. Every muscle tightened like a trap snapping shut. "What?" I asked. Lena's voice trembled. "He's not her husband. She didn't marry him. He forced her to pretend." "Why the hell would she pretend to be married? And why show me a marriage certificate?" "Because he threatened her," Lena whispered. "Threatened you. Threatened her dad. Even me." I stared at her, trying to process the impossible. "He threatened all of us. Why?" Lena finally looked straight into my eyes. "Because he thinks you ruined his life." I blinked, confused. "I don't even know him." "I know," Lena said. "But he knows you." I stepped back, my pulse thundering. "Who is he, Lena?" Lena hesitated only for a second, but it was enough to tell me the truth was painful. "His name is Marcus Hale." A cold shock ran through me. "I've never met a Marcus Hale." "You indirectly did," she cut in. 3 years ago, when your company fired him." My throat dried. "I didn't fire anyone 3 years ago. But your CEO did. You just didn't know him personally." She wrapped her arms around herself. "Marcus is unstable. When he got fired, he blamed everyone above him. And then he saw your picture." "My picture?" Lena nodded weakly. "He became obsessed. Not with you, but with her. He told himself that you were the reason he lost everything, and that she was the reward he deserved once he destroyed your life." I felt sick. "He wanted to take my wife?" "He wanted to take your world," Lena whispered. "Everything you loved. Everything that made you happy." I felt my chest tighten, the air turning heavy. "So he threatened her," I said quietly. "Forced her to pretend she married him." Lena nodded. "He showed up at her workplace. He followed her home. He waited outside her job for hours." Her voice cracked. "One night, he sent her a picture of your office building with the words, 'Nice life you got there.'" Rage shot through me, sharp and blinding. "She told him she'd go with him," Lena continued. "If he left you alone." I felt like the floor dropped beneath me. "She sacrificed herself?" My voice broke. "For me." "She begged him to stay away from you," Lena whispered. "Begged." "She said she'd do anything as long as you stayed safe." My knees almost buckled. "Why didn't she tell me?" I asked, tears stinging my eyes. "Because he said if she spoke to you, even once, he'd hurt you first." I stared at her, speechless. She lied to Chapter 5. The night everything shattered. I sped through the city without thinking. Streetlights blurred past my windshield, but all I could hear was Lena's shaky voice repeating the same words. "If you go alone, he'll kill you." Maybe, but doing nothing would kill me faster. My wife was out there, alone, terrified, and Marcus was hunting for her. I couldn't breathe just thinking about it. When I reached the police station, I pushed through the glass doors so hard they slammed against the wall. A young officer at the front desk looked up. "Sir? Can I help?" "Yes," I said. "I need to report a kidnapping, a stalking case, a fake marriage. All of it." "Slow down," he said. "What's the person's name?" "My wife." The words cracked out of me. "She's in danger." He typed something, then asked, "And the suspect?" "Marcus Hale." The officer froze. "Marcus Hale." His voice dropped. "We know him." My stomach tightened. "What do you mean you know him?" "He's been reported for harassment before. A few restraining orders. But they were dismissed." He frowned. "We've had 3 recent reports of violent behavior." I exhaled shakily. "Then why isn't he locked up?" "Not enough evidence," the officer said. "He knows exactly how to avoid crossing the final line." I slammed my hand on the counter. "He crossed the line when he took my wife." The officer flinched but nodded. "Tell me everything." I explained everything in sharp, shaking detail, the fake marriage certificate, the threats, the stalking, the messages sent to Lena. He typed it all, but I could tell he wasn't moving fast enough. "So what happens now?" I asked. "We'll send 2 officers to speak with him." That wasn't enough. Not even close. "He's dangerous," I snapped. "He needs to be arrested." "I understand your fear." "No." I cut him off. "You don't." My voice cracked. She walked away from her whole life, just to keep me safe. And now he's losing control. He texted her friend threats. "Right now. Tonight. And she is missing." The officer swallowed. "Missing?" "Yes," I breathed. "And if you don't move faster, she could be dead by morning." He stood up immediately. "Stay here. I'm bringing a sergeant." But I couldn't stay. My legs were already moving. "Sir," he called after me. "Sir, stop." I didn't. I burst outside into the cold air and called Lena. She picked up on the first ring. I don't know what to do," she whispered. "He's furious. He's blowing up my phone." "Lena," I said, "listen. Go to the police station. Right now." "I can't," she cried. "What if he follows me? He'll think I'm telling on him." "He already thinks that," I said. "You're safer with officers. Go inside and don't wait outside alone." "Okay." Her breath shook. "What about you?" "I'm going after him." "No. Are you insane? He's not normal." "I know." I hung up. I didn't want her to talk me out of it. I didn't want anyone to. I drove toward my wife's old apartment. Maybe she'd gone there. Maybe she was hiding. Maybe she was waiting for me. Or maybe... I shook the thought away. I refused to let my mind go someplace dark. When I arrived, the hallway was silent and empty. I knocked on her door. No answer. I knocked harder. "Please," I whispered. "If you're in there, just answer. Say something. Anything." Nothing. I pressed my forehead against the door, my chest tight. "Where are you?" I whispered. "What did he do to you?" Footsteps echoed behind me. I spun around. It wasn't her. It wasn't Marcus. It was Mrs. Patel, the old woman across the hall who used to bring us holiday cookies. She frowned when she saw me. "Oh dear," she said softly. "You look broken." "I'm looking for her," I said. "Did you see her today?" Mrs. Patel nodded slowly. "Yes, earlier this afternoon." My heart jumped. Was she alone? She hesitated. "No." The hallway tilted. I grabbed the wall. Was it him?" I asked. Mrs. Patel stepped closer. "He was yelling at her, calling her names, pulling her by the arm." Her voice trembled. I almost called the police, but she looked back at me and shook her head, like she was begging me not to. My whole body went cold. "She looked scared, dear," Mrs. Patel whispered. "Terrified." I swallowed hard. "What direction did they go?" "To the parking lot," she said. He pushed her into a car. A sharp pain shot through my chest. "What car?" "A black SUV," she said. "Tinted windows." My stomach dropped. That was the same car I saw earlier. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't breathe. I ran. I burst into the parking lot outside. Empty. Quiet. Just my car sitting under a flickering streetlight. I grabbed my phone. If Marcus took her somewhere, he had to feel confident. He had to feel hidden. He had to feel untouchable. I called Lena again. She whispered, "I made it inside the station. I'm safe. Did you find her?" "No," I said. "But he has her." Lena made a choked sound. "Oh God." "Lena," I said. "Think. Do you know where he would take her? Anywhere he feels in control. He doesn't have friends. No family. Just old places." She inhaled sharply. "He used to talk about a cabin." "A cabin?" "Yes, some place outside the city. He said he went there to clear his head." Her voice broke. "He said no one could hear you scream out there." A chill crawled down my spine. "Where is it?" I asked. "I don't know the exact address," Lena said, "but I know the area. I can send you a pin." "Send it." "My God," she whispered. "You're really going there. I don't have a choice." "You do," she said desperately. "Bring police. Bring help." "I will," I lied. We both knew I wouldn't. I ended the call and watched her location pin drop onto my map. A remote forest area nearly an hour away. I slid into my car. My hands shook around the steering wheel. "This ends tonight," I whispered, and I drove into the darkness. Straight toward the man who stole my wife. Straight toward whatever waited for me in that cabin. Straight into the part of the night where people disappear. Chapter 6. The name on the certificate. The room felt colder the moment the judge stepped out, leaving the three of us alone, me, Emily, and her father. The walls of the small mediation office seemed to tighten around us, making every breath feel heavier, sharper. Emily's father glared at me like I was the one who had personally destroyed his family. "You had the nerve to drag my daughter to court?" he said, voice shaking with disbelief and fury. "After abandoning her for months?" I didn't flinch. "Not this time. Not anymore." "I didn't abandon anyone," I said quietly. "I just finally stopped being blind." He scoffed. "Blind?" She waited. "She begged you to come home. And you, Dad." Emily stepped forward. Her jaw clenched so tight the muscle on the side twitched. "Stop." He ignored her. "He thinks he's a victim. A man who leaves his wife and then plays innocent." "Dad, stop." Emily's voice cracked this time. And that was when her father finally turned toward her, something softening in his eyes. "Sweetheart, he's manipulating this. I know you've always tried to protect him, but he's making a fool of you. I just want you safe. I just want you home." Emily swallowed hard. She looked like someone trapped between two doors. One that led back to her old life, and one that led to the truth. Her father stepped closer to her. "Just show me the proof. Show me you're still legally his wife. Then he'll have no case. We'll fix everything." Emily closed her eyes. My heart thudded once in my chest. Because I knew. This was the moment. Emily reached into her bag with trembling fingers and pulled out the document she'd hidden for weeks. Her father smiled, relieved. "There. Finally. Give it to me." She handed him the certificate without a word. He scanned it, certain he already knew what it would say. Then his face froze. The color drained from his cheeks. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Because there it was. Clear. Legal. Unmistakable. Under spouse 1, Emily Carter. Under spouse 2, Thomas Hale. A name that wasn't mine. A man I had never met. A man she had married. While still legally married to me. I watched her father's hand shake so violently the paper crinkled. "Emily dash," he whispered, voice trembling. What is this dash?" Emily didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't chase sympathy. She just stared at the floor, like the weight of her choices. Chapter 7. The man she married. The courthouse hallway was quieter than it should have been for a weekday. Dusty afternoon light streamed through the tall, narrow windows, casting long shadows that stretched across the floor like dark reminders of everything we'd lost. Everything she'd thrown away. Emily walked several steps behind me, as if distance could soften the consequences now closing in on her. Her father stayed by her side, But he no longer spoke. No more accusations, no more anger directed at me. He just stared straight ahead, stiff and hollow, like a man carrying a weight too heavy to name. My lawyer met me near the benches outside the mediation room. "Bigamy?" she said quietly, her voice low and sharp. "This isn't a minor accusation. This is criminal." Emily flinched at the word. Criminal. Even if she tried to hide it, her breathing hitched. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her purse until her knuckles went white. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't care, but because caring was something I'd already buried. The judge returned to call us back in. But before he could open the door, a voice echoed down the hallway. "Emily?" We all turned. A man stood near the stairwell. Dark suit, loosened tie, polished shoes. His expression wasn't angry or confused. It was terrified. He looked at Emily the way someone looks at a collapsing building they helped construct. Her father stepped forward. "Who are you?" The man swallowed. "I'm Thomas." The hallway seemed to freeze in place. Her father's jaw tightened. "Thomas Hale?" The man nodded once, gripping the railing beside him as if it could keep him upright. Emily stared at him, lips parting, voice caught in her throat. "What are you doing here?" He took a step closer. "You didn't tell me anything. You said the divorce was finalized. You said the papers were filed months ago." Her father let out a choked, humorless laugh. "Filed? The man you married is still her legal husband." Thomas's face drained of color. He turned to me, guilt and horror swirling together behind his eyes. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." I held his gaze, measuring him, trying to understand the man who had stepped into the place I once stood. His eyes said enough. He wasn't a villain. He was a fool just like I had been. Emily stepped toward him, clutching his arm. "Tom, please. This isn't the place. We can talk outside." "No," he said, pulling his arm away gently but firmly. "We're not doing this outside. We're doing this here. Because I want to know everything." Emily shook her head. "Tom, everything?" he repeated, louder this time. Her shoulders tensed. She closed her eyes again, the same way she had in the mediation room, as if bracing for another collapse. My lawyer watched them, then spoke quietly to me. He could also face charges if the court believes he knowingly entered a bigamous marriage. Thomas must have heard, because his voice cracked when he said, I didn't know. I thought we were starting something real." Emily finally looked at him, really looked at him, and for a moment the confidence she always wore like armor broke. She looked small, fragile, cornered by the consequences she'd been outrunning for months. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen," she whispered. Thomas stepped back. "You lied to me." "I didn't lie," she said quickly. "I just didn't tell you everything." He laughed once, a short, broken sound. "Emily, that is lying." Her father's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "How long?" Emily didn't answer. Thomas did. 6 months, he said quietly. "We've been together for 6 months." Her father turned away, staring at the window as if the right words might be hiding outside. The judge opened his door again. "We need to continue." But Thomas raised a hand. "No, I need a minute with her." The judge hesitated, then nodded. The rest of us stepped aside. Thomas looked at Emily with an expression that wasn't angry, but wounded in a way she couldn't hide from. "Emily, I loved you," he said softly. "I thought you were honest. I thought you were brave enough to leave a marriage you said was dead." Emily's voice cracked. "It was dead, but not buried," he said. And that was the line that finally shattered her composure. Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked them away, refusing to let them fall. Maybe out of pride, maybe out of habit. Thomas exhaled shakily. "If you had told me the truth, maybe we could have figured something out. But now, I could lose everything because of you. My career, my reputation, my family." Emily reached for him. Thomas stepped away. "I'm done," he said. "You need to face this on your own." She stopped moving, stopped breathing, stopped fighting. For the first time since this all began, she looked afraid. Not of me, not of divorce, but of the truth finally cornering her. Her father sighed heavily. "Let's go inside." But Emily didn't move. She just stood there watching Thomas walk away, watching her second marriage collapse exactly the way she had tried to escape from the first. And I realized something. This wasn't justice. This wasn't revenge. This was the cost of her choices finally catching up to her. And Chapter 8? That's where everything breaks wide open. Chapter 8. When the truth finally spoke for me. When we walked back into the mediation room, the air felt different. Before, it had been thick with blame, mostly thrown at me. Now, silence hung between us like cold rain. Emily sat beside her lawyer, her hands trembling in her lap. Her father took the seat behind her, shoulders slumped, eyes dull with disappointment. Across the table, my lawyer opened her folder and looked at me. "You ready?" she whispered. I nodded, even though my chest felt tight. Not from fear, but from the strange, hollow relief of knowing I didn't have to defend myself anymore. The truth was finally speaking for me. The judge cleared his throat. "Given the new information that has come to light, we will need to address both the divorce and the additional matter of bigamy." Emily closed her eyes. I saw the panic behind her eyelids, like she was trapped in a room filling with water and no door left to run through. Her lawyer tried to recover the conversation. "Your Honor, my client was under the impression the marriage was effectively over." My lawyer cut in. "Impression is not a legal status. She filed nothing. She hid everything. And she married another man before resolving this one." The judge nodded gravely. "This is not a small oversight." Emily's father stood abruptly. "Your Honor, she's not a criminal. She just made a mistake." The judge looked at him with tired eyes. "A mistake with legal consequences." Her father's voice cracked. She was confused. She lied," I said. Everyone turned toward me. My voice wasn't loud, but it was clear, unshaking. "For months, she lied to me. For months, she lied to him. And for months, she lied to herself." I looked directly at her father. "And you blamed me. You called me a coward. A husband who abandoned his wife." My chest tightened at the memory, but I kept my voice steady. "But I didn't leave. I was pushed out, replaced, forgotten." Emily stared down at her hands. "And the marriage certificate?" I continued. "That wasn't an accident. That was a choice. Every line on it, every signature was a choice." Her father sank back down slowly, eyes wet, the truth finally breaking through everything he thought he knew. Emily finally spoke, her voice small. "I didn't know how to stop anything. I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't want to hurt anyone." "You hurt everyone," I said softly. She swallowed hard, lips trembling. "I know." The judge reviewed a few documents and tapped his pen against the desk. "Given the circumstances, I will expedite this divorce. The marriage is, for all intents and purposes, over." The word over echoed in the room. Emily wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her blazer. Her lawyer whispered something to her, but she didn't respond. She just stared at the table like she was afraid it would judge her too. The judge continued. "As for the bigamy charge," Emily's breath caught. Her father grabbed her hand under the table. The judge raised a hand. "I am legally required to file a report. However," he paused, looking at me, "the impacted spouse does have the right to advocate for leniency or no criminal pursuit." The room froze. Emily looked at me, eyes wide and wet, like she was silently begging for help she didn't deserve. She whispered, voice cracking. "I never wanted you to suffer. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Her father leaned forward, whispering harshly, "Tell him you'll fix it. Tell him you'll fix everything." She didn't. She just looked at me, tears slipping